Alex Wallace here at our future YouTube studio. So we did get a little more equipment in, but not all of it, obviously. And one of the things you're actually hearing. So you got a little bit of a better mic. The last video I did, it's a little more echoey, so I'm hoping this one's a little crisp. So it sounds crisp. You should be able to hear Harambe's last words through your computer right now because this microphone should sound awesome. That being said, if it does sound good, let me know in the comments down below. Hopefully it sounds a little bit better. But I want to talk about fitness in this video. And that makes a lot of sense because I own a fitness business. So I'm like kind of jacked, but not jacked enough to get paid for my body. And I'm like kind of strong, but not strong enough for sponsorship. So I actually have to make money in the fitness business the good old fashioned way. That means I have a building, I have overhead, payroll, employees, all that stuff. So I'm a small business owner, but my small business, at least this small business, is in the fitness space. Outside of that, I also do real estate. There's a lot of things I want to incorporate in this channel, other experts I want to bring on this channel to hopefully help you out and help you grow in all directions. So if you're interested in that content, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. And if at any point you laugh or you learn something, like the video, help us out. That really helps push this video, and we're committed to making content. That being said, how I got to a 405-pound squat. So there's really three things that I did to get to 4 plates. And the first thing is I had to understand that it was time for a change.
Pardon a turkey and send it to Disneyland.
Namely, what got me to the sticking point that I was at before 405 pounds was not the same thing that was going to get me to the 405-pound squat. So just remember that. In general, what got you to this point probably is not going to be the same thing that's going to get you to the next level. I learned that in business too. I kind of had to do things a little bit different to really grow and level up my business, but let's stick with squatting. So I had to actually periodize my program. So just like everybody else who gets into squatting, I did I think it was Mad Cow 5x5. So you'd squat 3 times a week, 5 sets of 5 on certain days, and you would just build up, linearly progress your weight week after week after week. But at some point, after those long, hard 5x5 workouts, you will hit a stop. You can't keep progressing upwards, and then you have to periodize. Now, to get really deep into periodization is outside of the scope of this video, but just understand that periodization basically means you are changing the intensity, namely a percentage of your 1 rep max, and consequently your rep ranges on your actual exercises, so you're not just spinning your wheels, and you can facilitate progress throughout different rep ranges and actually get stronger in different rep ranges. So that's just the very skinny version of periodization. You have to change things, change the intensity, so you're not spinning your wheels with the same program. There are some people that can just linearly progress up to 405 pounds.
Wow, the land of make-believe.
That's not me, and that's probably not you. That being said, after I was periodizing, the second thing that I did to really help me get to a 405-pound squat was change how I squat. Okay, so when people typically learn how to squat, when I typically teach and coach people how to squat, what I'll do is just wherever the bar is comfortable, and wherever it's comfortable, that's where I want you to start squatting. But at some point, you gotta get a little more technical. And for me, that was learning the low bar back squat. There are people that squat high bar that are extremely strong, but I do think that for me, I added about 10% to my squat when I really perfected the low bar squat. It makes sense because the bar is actually closer to your center of gravity. It should have less leverage against you. That being said, again, there are guys that are super strong that do a high bar squat, but I would just encourage you to vary your squat to figure out where you can squat the maximum amount of weight. If I only always did high bar and never tried low bar, I don't know how long it would have taken me to get a 405-pound squat. So that was the second thing, is really perfecting the squat technique and finding the squat technique rather that works for your specific morphology. For me, that was the low bar back squat. It took weeks to learn, if not months to learn, but it was well worth it. It paid dividends later on because now anytime I want to squat heavy, it's a low bar back squat. And the third thing is to get used to wearing a good belt. Okay, so a lot of people, oh, I want to train my core. Okay, the belt doesn't necessarily take your core out of the equation, it trains your core differently. And we're talking about getting to a 405-pound back squat here. We're not talking about training the core, we're talking about training the squat. And any powerlifting meet, and honestly any gym bro, is totally fine with you wearing a belt and it being a legitimate squat. So look, get a good belt, get used to being able to brace against that belt, because you will be able to squat more weight with it. You are putting yourself in a position where you can more effectively use the muscles involved in squatting, so the limiting factor isn't just your core stability. And again, I still do some beltless squats, but when I'm trying to get to maximum loads, to maximum weight, I put on a belt because I can squat heavier with that. So those are the 3 things that I did to get to a 405-pound squat, and I do think that it will help you as well. So let's go over it. The first thing, change your program and use some periodization. The second thing, figure out the variation of squat where you can squat the heaviest. For me, it was the low bar squat, and I recommend you trying that as well if you haven't tried it yet. And the third thing is get a good belt and get used to wearing it, because that belt will allow you to more effectively use your lower body to actually get to a heavier squat. So look guys, we got tons of videos on the channel. Do me a favor, check out those other videos. I did a video on how to bench 315. I'm gonna link that. Let's put it somewhere over here. There's gonna be a subscribe button underneath that. Click that as well. Do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.